As a teacher, you might be wondering, do I have enough money to retire right now? Now, it's important to remember that the only thing stopping you guys from retiring right now is you just don't have the income to replace what you need to survive on. So the first step into knowing if it's time to retire or if you can retire early is figuring out how much you need to live off of. So now it's the time to go through your budget and see how much you're currently spending, how much of that is optional or things that you really don't need but you like to do, and how much is like a necessary to keep the household moving. Once you can go and dive into that and figure out what you need versus what you want, that's the first step to seeing how much income you need to replace it. So of course, the less you spend, the easier that's going to be to replace. And it's important when you're going through all this, you also need to think about what additional costs may come up in retirement. So one cost that always comes up that trumps most people is the cost of healthcare. So if you have your budget and it says, $5,000 a month what you're spending, you need to add on the healthcare cost on top of that. Because while you're working, your employer is covering the lion's share of those premium dollars. When you retire, that's all going to be on you. So remember that when you leave teaching, you're going to transition from the SEB system to the PEB, the Public Employees Benefits Board system. And you can go ahead and look up what the retiree rates are. The cost for most couples are about $1,500 a month, and that's for like one of the better plans out there, the UMP. That's what a lot of my clients use, and they're very happy with it. It covers pretty much everything that they need, surgeries, anything like that. So they're very happy paying that type of premium because they get the coverage that they need. Keep in mind that those premiums are only until you're age 65. Once Medicare steps in, the cost of that PEB plan does go down, and each year you do have the option to change which PEB plan you're on, so you're not stuck on that for life. But it is a cost, a sizable one, that you need to account for when doing your budgets. Other thing to keep in mind is that you need to figure out what it is on a pre-tax basis. So because all of your income for the most part is pre-tax, it's important to convert it. So if you knew you need $5,000 a month to live off of, you want to add on taxes. So you said, I'm going to add 20% to that. Then you're going to need $6,000 a month in pre-tax assets to live. And converting it into pre-tax dollars just makes the math easier. So when you're doing your math and saying, hey, I'm going to get $2,000 a month for my pension, and another $2,000 from Social Security, then I'm at $4,000. I only need $2,000 more of gross income. Plan 3, 403B, those are all pre-tax assets for most people. Then when you take money off of that, it just makes it a lot easier to see if you're going to actually have enough or be short. So always convert your budget into pre-tax dollars when you're trying to replace your income. So that's one exercise I run pretty much every client through on their initial consultation, is seeing what their budget is. I convert to pre-tax dollars, and then we total up just all guaranteed money that's coming in. And it's really mind-blowing for most people. They don't realize how much guaranteed income they have. This past couple of weeks, we had a couple people coming in where their guaranteed income from just pension Social Securities for the household was well over $100,000. So you can see that the guaranteed income amount can be quite high, which makes retiring earlier not quite so scary. So now the next question is, how do I replace it? So remember that because pensions and Social Security don't start till later on in life, you only really have to plan between now and when those incomes kick in. You're not trying to plan for 30 years worth of income. So because you have those income streams coming in the future, your planning window is much smaller. So if you're just trying to figure out how to retire at 58 and make it to 62 when the pension kicks on, it's only 4 years you're planning. It's very doable for most people. One common question that comes with trying to pull money off of people's investment accounts is, how much can I reasonably pull? I have got $500,000, $600,000, $1 million saved retirement, but what does that actually mean in terms of income? You've probably heard of the rule of 4%. I actually like to custom build portfolios for clients, and I use the rule of 5%. So that just means that for every $100,000 I have saved, I can pull 5% or $5,000 per year off of. So if I have $1 million, that's $50,000 per year of income that could potentially come off of that portfolio. Now, in order to maintain that, you do have to have a certain type of risk tolerance to a degree and just behavioral awareness of the situation. It's not going to work out if you see the first sign of trouble in the market and you shift things around. Things have to be positioned in a way so that the income can continue to pay out. Moving everything to bonds or being too conservative in cash, you're not going to have the growth necessary to support that 5% distribution over the long run. So I typically split clients' portfolios up into a cash bucket, an income or bond bucket, and then the rest are in equities. So a lot of our client portfolios compared to other people might be more aggressive, but because we have 5 years of cash on hand, we know we can get through most recessions, and that's going to support that 5% rule. And again, if you're retiring 3-4 years early, then this strategy works great because it pretty much guarantees you're going to have the income you need to support your lifestyle from now until the pensions and Social Security kicks in. So retiring early for teachers, much less scary than it may seem. Now, the last part of this is just looking at What do I need to do in order to build up the assets to potentially build this income stream? So some people invest in different ways. Some people really like real estate and want to get the rental income from. If that's something you're into and you have those properties in place, that's great. If you're thinking about getting into them, you have to really think about, is it, going to be worse in the long run? How long is it going to take me to break even? Because you're essentially taking another mortgage with the interest rates. You got to deal with, upkeep and all that. So there's a lot that goes into it. So real estate isn't for everybody. It can be a great investment, but if you're not into it or unsure of it, then don't worry about it. There's other ways you can save and still get an income stream from it. Other ways to help move this along is, of course, cutting out unnecessary expenses. So all the little things that we can cut out of the budget that aren't weird, things that we really don't need or use on a regular basis, that can be, reduced, will help you guys meet those goals or just have the extra cash flow to save towards those goals. So when I said that 5% rule, you might think, yeah, $1 million is going to take $50,000 per year. And the truth is you might be able to take a little bit more out for a short period of time, but for long term, that's what you want to stick around. So it's important to save as much as you can do because it's going to compound over time. And remember that once you get to a critical mass, the interest will start growing so much that it's going to be more than your contributions. So for example, in the beginning, you're just getting started off, put $6,000 in the account, and the next year you look at it, $6,500, $7,000. You're like, oh, I'm not getting a whole lot. But you fast forward it to when you get to $500,000, you put in the same $6,000, but the interest alone, if it say was 10%, would be $50,000. So it's almost 10 times your contribution, and interest is growing in that account. So it's important to get that critical mass up, which is why it's important to start saving as early as possible so you can hit those critical numbers and then let compounding interest work for you. So if you're interested in retiring right now, you need to answer these questions first before you move forward to see if it's possible, and if so, when you could think you might be able to hit those income numbers to replace that income and enjoy a retirement. Now, if you're not a big fan of going through numbers yourself and just wants to hand this off to a professional like myself as you're doing this for 10 years exclusively for Washington teachers that can tell you everything you need to know within a short period of time, then I invite you to just schedule a call with us. The link will be in the description below. And always remember that your future depends on what you do today.